So, Washington State is always known for trying new progressive ideas. You know, like giving over part of your town to Chaz Chop, or letting Antifa burn down a police department, or defunding cops, or decriminalizing all theft under $1,000. You know, progressive ideas. So they've got a new one. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and see how this plays out. So the issue is mental health with kids. Now, this is a lofty goal from the onset. I support this. Kids have had a rough time, and with the school shootings and the suicide and all the horrible things that kids are going through now that they didn't used to go through, dealing with mental health for kids is a good goal. Let's see how they go forth and try to deal with this problem.
For that very reason, the changes stem from a new state law meant to support students who are struggling. Our Kayla Lafferty here in studio live this morning with us to tell us about this new program and this idea. I mean, adults, we in the workplace get mental health days. Why not the kids, right?
Right, and that's kind of what lawmakers are thinking. So under the new law, the state superintendent will direct schools to allow students as many excused absences as needed for mental health reasons with no doctor's note or medical diagnosis.
Yeah, so the kids are going to be able to take as many days off as they need or want. No doctor's note required. I see what they're trying to do here. But I also see the potential for abusing this policy. All right, let's go.
A year ago, Governor Jay Inslee declared a youth mental health crisis. The CDC says 1 in 3 high school students suffered mentally during the pandemic. In King County, public health says suspected suicide attempts increased in middle schoolers in July through September of 2021 compared to the previous 2 years. And the Washington Poison Center says suicide attempts among female teens are up as well.
Wow, those are some horrible numbers. Why is suicide up so much? Well, I have some theories. Now, please let me preface, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy sitting in front of a computer staring at a microphone. But I went to high school and things were tough. Bullying back then was someone got a wedgie. Now they can do it online anonymously and make you want to kill yourself. So that has changed. But the last 2 years where kids couldn't go to school, couldn't date, they missed prom, they couldn't get their driver's license, all the first things that kids do as you're growing up and you look forward to these big milestones, those were taken away from them. And they did mention that this affects girls more. And it's weird. My wife and I were talking the other day, and there's obviously a difference between boys and girls. Girls are more social. Guys can sit at home alone and play video games, no problem. It's not going to affect them much. But girls are more social. Girls go to the bathroom in groups. Everyone knows this. But girls need to talk to each other face to face, and they gossip more, and they chat more, and they do more social things, more verbal things. Now, all these girls have been locked down for some of the most important parts of their developmental life. And that's gone, and they'll never get that back. Well, I can understand why they're upset. This is not going to go well, and we're going to find out probably in the next, well, it probably won't take that long, but within a decade, that locking down children for 2 years is going to be the kind of detriment we may never get over. Some of these kids are going to be ruined.
It could not be more clear that we have a crisis in behavioral health, mental health in our youth.
The State Office of Public Instruction will be briefing school districts on the rules surrounding absences before the start of this next school year. Mimi?
Kayla, thank you. And parents are taking notice. In a survey of 1,000 parents by Lurie Children's Hospital, 71% said the pandemic had taken a toll on their children's mental health. 69% said the pandemic was the worst thing to have happened to their kids. The CDC also reports that mental health-related emergency department...
Jeez, some of these statistics are terrible. Now, keep in mind, this is a survey of 1,000 parents, so it's not a very big group. But I think the numbers are pretty interesting. 71% said the pandemic took a toll on their mental health of their children. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? 71% said their children are now worse off because they were locked in their house and forced to wear masks. Well, some are still doing it, so it's going on now more than 2 years. 69% said the pandemic was the worst thing to happen to their kids. You know, one of the good things about this pandemic, and okay, this is going to be a tough pill to swallow, but according to all the CDC research and according to all the World Health Organization and according to simple statistics, children, if they're even moderately healthy, they don't get affected by this pandemic very much at all. And yet we're still forcing them to go through all these procedures that are probably more beneficial for people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. From all of the research that they've put out, kids just don't need it. And sticking them in a room for a year or two is almost like solitary confinement. And even under the Geneva Convention and under war crimes, solitary confinement is cruel and unusual. We're getting the rewards from that right now. So, Washington, they're going to try to give the kids more mental health. Good goal. I go back to say a noble goal. I think that recognizing this problem is a step in the right direction. Giving a kid a day off and not requiring a doctor's note or anything like that might not be the best way to handle it. If the kid, I'm just thinking this out in my head. Now, if the child is having a bit of difficulty reacclimating to a social group and dealing with their friends and etc., taking the day off and staying home alone again is what caused this in the first place. Now, again, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. I'm not even a school board member. I have no background in the education system. But my basic gut instinct says, let the kids go back to school, let them deal with the social anxiety head on, and, well, let's not sugarcoat it. Get over it. Deal with it. Deal with your problems head on. I think a lot of people now are like, well, just avoid the problem. It'll go away. It doesn't. It doesn't go away. What you're going to get is a generation of shut-ins who have no idea how to do any conflict resolution. And I'm not talking about let's stop Putin and Ukraine, that kind of conflict resolution. I'm talking about dating or being married and someone forgets to take out the trash. This is going to make them just freak out. They're not even going to know how to handle it. Hey, why didn't you take the trash out? And they're going to be like, I don't know. I just leave now. They can't handle a minor conflict because they've never been given the skills to do it. So although the goal is noble, I think the approach is, to be quite honest, the worst thing possible.
Visits among adolescents were up 31% in 2020 compared to the year before.
And mental health related ER visits, emergency room visits, that means they are in ultimate crisis. That means someone's probably going to try to hurt themselves very badly. They need to go to the emergency room, and those are up 31%. This is not just simple depression. This is a serious problem that we've done to our kids in this country.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273.
Now, this is actually a great way to end this article. If you feel like you need to talk to anyone at all, call someone, anyone. There's a number here on screen. They would be happy to talk to you. So if you're feeling like things are a little overwhelming and you might fall into this group of people that are suffering through some kind of a mental thing based on, well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what it's based on. If you're feeling any kind of a way where you need this kind of prevention lifeline, call. I am certain it's anonymous. Right there on the bottom, free and confidential. If you're feeling any kind of way, call them. Just do that instead of going, well, like, you can go to the ER, you can do anything you want. But what I'm saying is don't feel like you have to do this on your own. Now, just because you've been locked in your room for 2 years and your social skills are underdeveloped, it doesn't mean you can't come back from this. But continuing to hide away from these problems isn't the right answer. Once again, not a psychiatrist, but I've lived long enough to know that if you ignore a problem over and over and over again, it doesn't go away. So take this for what it is. Washington, what do you think? What do you think Washington is doing? Are they heading in the right direction? Is this going to have the predictably awful results of their other decisions they've made for their state? Let me know. Drop me a comment in the bottom. I'm really, really curious what you think. Do you think they're going to help the kids? Or do you think it'll make it worse? Do you have kids that were affected by this? Give me some thoughts down below. Then subscribe and we'll do another story tomorrow.